Have you ever wondered what would happen if the sun suddenly stopped moving across the sky? An unimaginable phenomenon, breaking all the laws of physics we know, yet recorded in the Bible as a real event. Today, we will explore together one of the most miraculous wonders, a moment when the boundary between faith and science seems to dissolve, when the sun stood still in the sky at the command of a human being. Imagine an ancient battlefield, the clash of swords, the echoing shouts, and amid all that chaos, a man stands firm, looks up to the sky, and commands the sun to stop. Not a whispered prayer, but a powerful command. And the unthinkable happened. The universe responded to his word. This is not fiction, but an event recorded in the Bible, a phenomenon that even modern science still cannot fully explain. In Joshua chapter 10, we read the extraordinary story of Joshua, Moses' successor, leading the Israelites in a decisive battle against the alliance of 5 Amorite kings. When victory was within reach but daylight was fading, Joshua did what no one dared to think. He commanded the sun to stand still. O sun, stand still over Gibeon. O moon, over the valley of Ajalon. And the miracle happened. The Bible records that the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. A day extended to nearly twice its normal length, a phenomenon that breaks all the astronomical and physical laws we know. This event is not just a story of military victory, but evidence of supernatural intervention in the natural order of the universe. It raises profound questions about the relationship between faith and science, between what we believe and what we can explain. In this video, we will not only explore the biblical story, but also delve into modern scientific explanations for this phenomenon. We will analyze every aspect of the event, from astronomical, physical, and even the latest archaeological discoveries. You will hear explanations from leading scientists who have dedicated their lives to researching this phenomenon. We will explore historical evidence from different civilizations about similar phenomena, and especially, we will learn about modern astronomical phenomena that may partially explain this event. Particularly, at the end of the video, I will share a brand new discovery, a breakthrough perspective that very few people know about, which could be the bridge between faith and science in explaining the phenomenon of the sun standing still. This is information you won't find anywhere else, so watch until the end to not miss out. If you're looking for answers to big questions about faith, science, and the wonders in the Bible, this video is for you. Please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to not miss our upcoming content. And now, let's begin our journey to discover one of the greatest miracles recorded in human history. Let's travel back in time about 3,200 years ago to the ancient land of Canaan, where one of the most decisive battles in the history of the Israelite people was taking place. Joshua, the great successor of Moses, was leading the Israelite army in the campaign to conquer the Promised Land. After capturing Jericho and Ai, 5 Amorite kings had formed an alliance to attack the Gibeonites, people who had just signed a peace treaty with Israel. The situation was extremely urgent. The Gibeonites had sent messengers to Joshua pleading, "Do not abandon your servants, come quickly and save us." Faced with this call, Joshua made a bold decision, leading his troops to march all night, traversing treacherous terrain to reach Gibeon, creating an element of surprise in military tactics. When dawn broke, the Israelite army attacked the allied forces, and the Lord gave them initial victory. The Bible records that God caused confusion in the enemy, ranks, and even made large stones fall from the sky, killing more enemies than the swords of the Israelites. But a serious problem was emerging. Daylight was fading, and if darkness fell, the enemy would have a chance to escape and regroup. The victory would not be complete. It was in this decisive moment that Joshua performed an unprecedented action in human history. Standing before all the people of Israel, Joshua spoke to the universe in a way no one had dared to do before. Joshua chapter 10 verses 12 to 13 records, "O sun, stand still over Gibeon, O moon, over the valley of Ajalon. And the extraordinary happened, the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, until the nation avenged themselves on their enemies. When studying the original Hebrew text, the word stand still, dabam, damam, doesn't simply mean stop moving, but also carries the meaning of silence or cease activity. This suggests that the phenomenon was not just a physical stoppage, but a suspension of natural law. More remarkably, the text continues with an astonishing declaration. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. The phrase delayed going down in the original text implies that the sun seemed to have postponed its natural cycle. The Bible also emphasizes the uniqueness of this event. There has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. This verse affirms that this was not an ordinary natural phenomenon, but a direct supernatural intervention from the Creator. Interestingly, the phenomenon of the sun standing still doesn't appear only in the Judeo-Christian Bible. Many other ancient civilizations also recorded similar events occurring around this time period. In ancient Chinese mythology, there are records of an unusually long day during the reign of Emperor Yao, a king believed to have lived around the 23rd century BC. According to these accounts, the sun did not set for 10 days, causing fires and floods throughout the country. The Aztecs and Mayans in Central America also have legends about a long night, a period when darkness extended abnormally, causing people to panic and perform many sacrificial rituals to bring the sun back. The Incas in South America passed down the story of the sun god Inti, who stopped in the sky at the command of their first king. Amazingly, many of these legends place the event around the same time period as the biblical record. Greek historian Herodotus also recorded the accounts of Egyptian priests about a time when the sun rose twice where it now sets, and set twice where it now rises. These records from unrelated cultures on different continents raise the question, could there have been a global astronomical phenomenon that occurred at that time? Or is this just a random coincidence of legends? Whatever the explanation, the presence of similar stories in many different cultures adds to the historical authenticity of the event recorded in the Bible. These records are not just spiritual stories, but astonishing historical evidence of a phenomenon that modern science still cannot fully explain, the moment when the sun stood still in the sky and the laws of the universe seemed to be temporarily suspended. To understand the extraordinary nature of the sun standing still phenomenon, we need to view it through the lens of modern science. Our Earth rotates on its axis at approximately 1,600 kilometers, hour at the equator, completing one rotation in 24 hours, creating the familiar day-night cycle. Simultaneously, the planet also moves around the sun at an impressive speed of 107,000 kilometers an hour, completing one orbit in 365.25 days. Basic physical laws such as Newton's law of inertia state that an object will maintain its state of motion unless acted upon by a force. This means that the Earth suddenly stopping its rotation, as implied in the sun standing still phenomenon, would require an enormous force acting upon the planet. Physicists have calculated that if the Earth were to stop rotating suddenly, the consequences would be catastrophic. Inertia would cause all objects not firmly attached to the Earth's surface, including oceans, architectural structures, and humans, to continue moving forward at their initial speed. This would create winds with speeds equivalent to jet aircraft, tsunamis hundreds of meters high, and extreme earthquakes across the globe. Additionally, the Earth's liquid iron core would continue moving, causing deformation of the Earth's crust and disrupting the magnetic field that protects us from cosmic radiation. Temperatures would soar on one side of the Earth and plummet to extreme lows on the other, creating terrible storms as air moves from hot regions to cold ones. In summary, according to modern physical principles, the Earth suddenly stopping its rotation would lead to complete destruction of life on the planet. However, in the biblical story, there is no record of such a catastrophe, a paradox that has scientists scratching their heads for an explanation. Faced with this paradox, the scientific community has proposed many hypotheses aimed at explaining the sun standing still phenomenon without violating basic physical laws. One of the most widely accepted theories relates to an unusual light refraction phenomenon. According to this theory, a rare atmospheric phenomenon may have occurred that created an optical illusion, causing sunlight to bend and creating the impression that the sun was still present in the sky even after it had set. This phenomenon would be similar to the Fata Morgana mirage, when layers of air at different temperatures create a mirror effect, distorting the images of distant objects. Another hypothesis mentions the possibility of an annular eclipse, when the moon covers most of the sun but leaves a bright ring around it. This phenomenon can last several minutes and could provide enough light to continue fighting without being too bright, fitting the description in the Bible. Astronomers have also suggested the possibility that a large comet passed near Earth at that time. The comet's tail, full of dust and gas, could reflect sunlight, creating a prolonged day effect when the sky remained bright, even after the sun had set. Some studies have found evidence of a large comet appearing around the time believed to be when Joshua's battle took place. Additionally, some scientists have proposed theories about changes in Earth's magnetic field. An extremely powerful coronal mass ejection, CME, from the sun could create extremely strong auroras, illuminating the night sky almost like daytime. This phenomenon has been recorded in modern history, such as the Carrington event of 1859, when auroras were bright enough for people to read books at night. In recent decades, scientists have applied advanced technology to study the sun standing still phenomenon in greater depth. One notable approach is using computer models to simulate astronomical conditions at the time believed to be when this event occurred. Astronomer Colin Humphreys from Cambridge University conducted a remarkable study using astronomical simulation software to recreate the sky over Palestine around 1207 BCE, the time many scholars believe Joshua conquered Canaan. His research suggests that the sun standing still phenomenon might be related to an extremely strong meteor shower. According to this theory, a large meteorite entered Earth's atmosphere, creating a blindingly bright streak across the sky and breaking into smaller fragments. These fragments could be the large stones described in the Bible that fell upon the enemy. The light from the meteorite, along with the burning fragments, could create the effect of the sun and moon standing still for a considerable period. Archaeologists have also found evidence of a major earthquake in this region around that time. Analysis of sediments from the Dead Sea shows signs of a powerful earthquake occurring approximately 3,200 years ago. This aligns with the biblical description of the walls of Jericho falling and could be related to the unusual astronomical phenomenon. Another research direction focuses on ancient texts from other civilizations. Historians have discovered that many different cultures have records of an unusual long day or extended night around the same time period. This suggests that there may have been a global astronomical phenomenon observed and recorded by many different civilizations. Recently, some scientists have proposed theories about changes in Earth's rotational axis. According to this, a large cosmic object passing near Earth could temporarily alter the planet's rotational axis, creating the effect of the sun standing still in certain specific regions without causing global catastrophe. Despite many fascinating scientific hypotheses, to date there is still no widely accepted and comprehensive explanation for the sun standing still phenomenon. This event remains one of the greatest mysteries, where the boundary between science and faith becomes blurred, challenging us to seek answers beyond conventional understanding. For millions of believers around the world, The phenomenon of the sun standing still is not a scientific puzzle to be decoded, but powerful evidence of the Creator's unlimited power. They view this event through the lens of faith, a lens that allows them to see beyond the limits of empirical science. When confronted with the phenomenon of the sun standing still, those who believe in miracles don't feel the need to explain it according to physical laws. For them, this is the very nature of a miracle, an event that transcends the framework of nature, a moment when the Creator temporarily suspends the laws he established to fulfill a higher purpose. Pastor David Jeremiah, a renowned theologian, once shared, "If we believe that God created the universe from nothing, then his temporarily halting the movement of celestial bodies is not something too difficult to understand. For the one who established the laws of physics, temporarily suspending them is entirely within his power." Many believers also point out that this miracle is not an isolated event, but part of a series of supernatural interventions by God in the history of the Israelites. From the parting of the Red Sea during Moses' time to fire falling from heaven during Elijah's era, the Bible records many instances where God temporarily suspended or altered natural laws to fulfill his will. For believers, these miracles are not just distant historical events, but sources of inspiration and hope in their present lives. They recognize that if God could make the sun stand still for Joshua, he can also intervene in seemingly hopeless situations in their lives. Standing opposite to religious belief is the skeptical attitude of many scientists. For them, the phenomenon of the sun standing still poses a serious challenge to modern understanding of the universe and physical laws. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, a famous astronomer, once stated, "If the Earth suddenly stopped rotating, everything not firmly attached to the Earth's surface would be flung off at a velocity of about 1,600 kilometers an hour at the equator. Oceans would spill over their basins, causing massive tsunamis. This would be a global catastrophe, not an event that could occur without leaving catastrophic consequences." Physicists also point out that the Earth's angular momentum is a conserved quantity. For the Earth to stop rotating, there would need to be an extremely large external force acting upon it, and this force would cause enormous geological changes that could not fail to leave traces in geological records. Many scientists also question the historical authenticity of this event. They argue that, if such a major astronomical phenomenon truly occurred, it must have been recorded by many other civilizations of the same period, not just the Israelites. Dr. Richard Dawkins, an evolutionary biologist and prominent atheist, wrote, "When faced with claims of miracles, we need to apply David Hume's principle. Evidence for a miracle must be stronger than evidence for the natural law that the miracle violates. In the case of the sun standing still, the only evidence is an ancient text, while the evidence for the Earth's regular rotation is countless scientific observations." For many scientists, the story of the sun standing still might be better understood as a literary metaphor or a poetic expression of a quick military victory rather than an actual physical event. Between these two seemingly opposing viewpoints, some scholars and scientists of faith are working to build bridges, seeking ways to understand the phenomenon of the sun standing still that respect religious belief while not violating basic scientific principles. Dr. Francis Collins, a renowned geneticist and leader of the Human Genome Project, who is also a devout Christian, has proposed a harmonious approach. Science and faith are not enemies, but complementary ways of viewing reality. Science helps us understand the mechanisms of the universe, while faith helps us understand its meaning and purpose. Some theologians and scientists have proposed the concept of God's gaps, areas that modern science cannot yet fully explain, where higher physical laws that we have not yet discovered might exist. According to this view, God may have used these laws to create the phenomenon of the sun standing still without violating basic physical laws. Dr. Hugh Ross, an astronomer and founder of the organization Reasons to Believe, has suggested that God may have used complex light refraction phenomena to create the illusion of the sun standing still while maintaining the normal movement of the Earth. According to him, this would explain both the biblical text and avoid the catastrophic consequences of the Earth stopping its rotation. Another approach is to consider the relativity of time. Einstein's theory of relativity has proven that time is not absolute, but can be affected by gravity and velocity. Some scientific theologians have proposed that God may have temporarily altered the perception of time in a specific geographical area, creating the effect of an extended day without disrupting the movement of celestial bodies. Professor John Lennox from Oxford University, a mathematician and defender of the Christian faith, wrote, "God is not part of the natural universe he created, he stands outside it. Therefore, he can intervene in it in ways that do not violate natural laws, but simply transcend them." The dialogue between faith and science regarding the phenomenon of the sun standing still continues, reminding us that there are mysteries in the universe still not fully explored, and perhaps there will always be space for both faith and reason in understanding the world around us. On the 13th of October, 1917, an extraordinary event took place in Fatima, Portugal, a phenomenon witnessed by tens of thousands of people and later known as the Miracle of the Sun. A crowd of approximately 70,000 people, including both believers and skeptics, gathered at the Cova da Iria field to witness what 3 shepherd children had predicted earlier: a heavenly sign would appear. The sky that day was filled with dark clouds and heavy rain, causing many to doubt the prophecy. However, suddenly the clouds dispersed, and the sun appeared as a dim silver disk that people could look at directly without eye discomfort. According to witness accounts, the sun began to dance in the sky, spinning like a wheel of fire, emitting rays of light in various colors, and seemingly plunging toward Earth before returning to its normal position. Avelino de Almeida, editor-in-chief of O Secular newspaper, a secular and anti-church publication in Portugal at that time, wrote, "The sun looked like a dim silver disk, and people could look directly at it without discomfort. It didn't burn, it didn't blind. One could say it was undergoing an eclipse." But then a cry went up, and from all the people who were kneeling, with arms outstretched toward the sun, one could hear exclamations of astonishment. Remarkably, this phenomenon was witnessed not only by those present at Fatima, but also by people several kilometers away. The crowd's wet clothes dried completely after the event, despite having been soaked by rain for many hours before. The Catholic Church later recognized this event as a miracle, but scientists continue to search for natural explanations. Some suggest it might have been an unusual light refraction phenomenon, while others propose it could have been a collective psychological experience. However, the scale and nature of the event, along with the large number of witnesses from various social backgrounds, make it one of the most mysterious astronomical phenomena of the 20th century. Beyond the famous Fatima event, modern history records many reports of unusual astronomical phenomena related to the sun. In 1956, in Necedah, Wisconsin, thousands of people reported seeing the sun dancing, changing colors, and spinning in the sky. Similarly, at Medjugorje, Bosnia and Herzegovina, since the 1980s, many pilgrims have described phenomena of the sun pulsating and emitting multicolored rays. In 1968, in Zaytun, Egypt, a strange light phenomenon appeared in the night sky, described as a night sun glowing, lasting for many months and witnessed by hundreds of thousands of people, including the Egyptian president at that time. This phenomenon was documented by many media outlets and studied by scientists, but still lacks a satisfactory explanation. In March 2009, an unusual astronomical phenomenon was reported in Kochi, India, when thousands of people reported seeing stars seemingly dancing in the night sky. moving in inexplicable patterns. Astronomers later attempted to explain this phenomenon as an optical illusion or due to the presence of satellites, but many witnesses still maintain that what they saw cannot be explained by known natural phenomena. Dr. Jacques Vallée, an astronomer and expert on unidentified phenomena, has studied many similar reports and noted there is a common denominator in these reports, which is the change in perception of time and space by witnesses. This suggests that we may be dealing with a real physical phenomenon, but one that operates at a level that modern science cannot yet fully explain. Alongside widely documented astronomical phenomena, there are countless personal stories about moments when time seemed to stand still or extend unusually. These experiences often occur in emergency situations or moments of profound spiritual significance. Sarah Thompson, an emergency nurse in Boston, shared her experience of saving a cardiac arrest patient. Everything seemed to slow down. I could clearly see every small detail, every movement of people around me, but they seemed to be moving in slow motion. I had the feeling that I had infinite time to think and act, although I later knew that the whole incident only lasted a few minutes. Psychologists call this phenomenon time distortion, a state when human perception of time changes significantly under the influence of stress, danger, or special psychological states. Dr. David Eagleman, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, has conducted many studies on this phenomenon and discovered that in high-stress situations, the brain can process information faster, creating the sensation that time is slowing down. However, many people believe their experiences go beyond simple psychological explanation. Michael Chen, a civilian pilot, recounts the moment when his plane experienced a serious malfunction. It wasn't just a feeling of time slowing down. I actually saw the sun seemingly standing still in the sky. The light didn't change, shadows didn't move. I could clearly see every detail of the clouds outside, as if they had frozen. When I finally landed safely, I was surprised to discover that nearly 2 hours had passed, although to me, it seemed like just a few minutes. Such experiences have an interesting connection to the sun standing still phenomenon in the Bible. They suggest that human perception of time and the movement of celestial bodies can be affected by psychological, physiological, and possibly spiritual factors. This opens up the possibility that the phenomenon Joshua witnessed might be related to an enhanced state of awareness in the context of battle, combined with unusual natural phenomena. Professor Elizabeth Loftus, a leading expert on human memory at the University of California, comments, "Our memory doesn't work like a video camera. It is deeply influenced by emotions, beliefs, and context. In situations of profound spiritual significance, people can experience and later recall events in ways that attribute supernatural meaning to them, even when there might be natural explanations. Whatever the explanation, these personal experiences provide an interesting perspective on how humans perceive time and space, and may help us better understand the sun standing still phenomenon in the Bible from the perspective of human experience. When we look deeply into the story of the sun standing still, we discover a profound truth about the power of faith. Joshua wasn't merely believing, he acted on that faith with extraordinary boldness. Imagine that moment, a man standing amid a battlefield, looking up to the sky and commanding celestial bodies. This wasn't an act of doubt or hesitation, but an expression of absolute faith. True faith isn't just a vague belief in something abstract. It's a powerful conviction about the Creator's power that makes us dare to ask for seemingly impossible things. In the letter to the Hebrews, we read, "Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Joshua perfectly illustrated this definition. Joshua's prayer wasn't a timid whisper, but a powerful declaration. He didn't say, "Lord, if it pleases you, please make the sun stand still." Instead, he directly commanded, "O sun, stand still over Gibeon." This is the prayer of someone who understands his position in relationship with God, child entrusted with power from his Father. Mother Teresa once said, "Faith is seeing light when only darkness surrounds." Joshua saw the possibility of victory when everyone else only saw approaching darkness. His faith wasn't blind optimism, but deep trust in the one who had promised Israel victory. In today's modern world, what can we learn from this kind of faith? Perhaps not commanding the sun to stand still, but certainly the courage to believe God can still do extraordinary things in our lives. When facing our own battles, illness, financial crisis, or broken relationships, we are invited to demonstrate similar bold faith. The sun standing still phenomenon opens a profound door into the relationship between the Creator and His creation. If we accept this story literally, it raises a fundamental question. Can God temporarily suspend or change the natural laws He Himself established? Jewish and Christian theologians have pondered this question for centuries. Rabbi Maimonides, the 12th century Jewish philosopher, argued that God doesn't arbitrarily change natural laws, as that would reflect imperfection in His original design. However, C.S. Lewis, the Christian writer and thinker, proposed a different perspective. Miracles are not violations of natural law, but the temporary intervention of supernatural power into a chain of natural events. Lewis's view suggests that God, as the author of natural laws, is not bound by them. Like a writer who can change his plot, God can intervene in the universe without compromising its integrity. The sun standing still phenomenon isn't a chaotic disruption of physical laws, but the manifestation of a higher power, a deeper law at work. This leads to a profound reflection on God's sovereignty. In Psalm 19:1, King David writes, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands." The universe isn't just a mindless machine operating according to rigid laws. It's the continuous expression of the Creator's will and power. Theoretical physicist and Christian believer John Polkinghorne wrote, "God is not a distant creator who set up the universe and then left it to run itself. He continuously engages with creation, sustaining and guiding it. From this perspective, miracles aren't disruptions of natural order, but extensions of glimpses into a deeper dimension of reality." The story of the sun standing still, whether understood literally or metaphorically, still offers valuable lessons for modern life. First, it reminds us about the value of time. Joshua asked for extended daylight, not for personal reasons, but to complete a divine mission. In our digital age, with countless things stealing our attention, this story challenges us to reflect. How are we using our time? Are we maximizing each moment to fulfill a higher purpose? Psychologist Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote, "In the end, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather must recognize that it is he who is asked." Like Joshua, we are called to live purposefully, to recognize that each moment holds potential for something greater. Second, this story teaches us about the power of perseverance. Joshua and the Israelite army marched all night, fought all day, and continued fighting when the sun stood still. They didn't give up when faced with fatigue or difficulties. In a world that values instant gratification and quick solutions, this story reminds us that great achievements often require extraordinary perseverance. Angela Duckworth, author of Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, discovered that perseverance is often a better predictor of success than innate talent. Joshua illustrates this principle. He didn't just pray for a miracle, but persisted in action to make victory a reality. Finally, this story invites us to view the world with awe and wonder. In an age of science and technology, we easily take daily wonders for granted, from glorious sunrises to the complexity of the human body. The sun standing still phenomenon reminds us that the universe still contains more mysteries than we can comprehend. Albert Einstein once said, "He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead his eyes are closed." Whether we believe in miracles or not, maintaining a sense of wonder about the universe remains essential for a full and meaningful life. When applying these lessons to daily life, we may discover that the ancient story of the sun standing still isn't just a historical record or an amazing miracle, but an invitation to live purposefully, persevere through challenges, and view the world with eyes full of wonder and gratitude. Our journey exploring the phenomenon of the sun standing still has taken us through various aspects of one of the most miraculous wonders recorded in human history. From the biblical story of Joshua commanding the sun to stand still over Gibeon, we have seen the remarkable intersection between faith and science, between what we believe and what we can explain. We have examined the historical context of this event, a decisive battle of the Israelites under Joshua's leadership when he prayed for extended daylight to complete their victory. The Bible records that God answered this prayer with an unprecedented miracle. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. Through the lens of science, we have confronted the physical challenges this phenomenon presents, from the catastrophic consequences if Earth suddenly stopped rotating to hypotheses about unusual light refraction, comets, or magnetic storms. Modern scientists continue to research, seeking rational explanations for this event. We have also explored the complex relationship between faith and science, from the perspective of those who believe in supernatural miracles to the skepticism of scientists, and efforts to build bridges between these two worlds. Notably, many scientists of faith are seeking ways to harmonize religious belief with scientific principles. We have discovered similar phenomena in modern history, such as the miracle of the sun at Fatima in 1917, and numerous reports of unusual astronomical phenomena. Personal experiences of time standing still also provide an interesting perspective on how humans perceive time and space. Finally, we have reflected on the spiritual significance and lessons from this event, about the power of faith and prayer, about God's relationship with nature, and lessons for our modern lives. When looking back at the entire story of the sun standing still, I cannot help but be moved by the wonderful intersection between faith and science. Perhaps this is the key point of this story. It doesn't require us to choose one side, but invites us to explore the beauty of both. For those with faith, the phenomenon of the sun standing still is evidence of the Creator's unlimited power, who is not bound by the natural laws he himself established. It reminds us that in seemingly impossible moments, when we face our own battles, God can still intervene in ways far beyond our imagination. For those pursuing science, this story is not an invitation to abandon reason, but a challenge to broaden our vision, to recognize that the universe may be more complex and wonderful than we currently know. It reminds us of humility in science, acknowledging that each answer we find often leads to many new questions. Personally, I believe that stories like the sun standing still phenomenon invite us to live in wonder and reverence. In today's modern world, where we often seek quick and certain answers, perhaps sometimes we need to be comfortable with mysteries, with questions that don't have easy answers. Whether you approach this story from the perspective of faith, science, or both, I invite you to maintain a spirit of curiosity and openness. Perhaps the greatest value of the sun standing still phenomenon is not proving something, but awakening in us a sense of wonder about the universe and the one who created it. As we conclude our exploration of the sun standing still phenomenon, I want to invite you to take some specific steps to continue reflecting on and applying what we've learned. First, take time to reflect on your own beliefs. How has this story touched you? Does it challenge or strengthen your beliefs about the relationship between God and the universe? Write down your thoughts in a spiritual journal or share them in the comments section below this video. Second, I encourage you to dig deeper. If the spiritual aspect of this story attracts you, read more about other miracles in the Bible and their significance. If the scientific angle makes you curious, explore modern research on unusual astronomical phenomena. Knowledge is the foundation for deeper understanding. Third, apply the lessons about faith and perseverance to your daily life. Like Joshua, we all face battles that seem impossible to win. Perhaps it's a health issue, financial difficulty, or a broken relationship. Remember that sometimes we need to boldly ask for seemingly impossible things. Finally, I invite you to share this video with someone who might be inspired or challenged by it. Perhaps a friend struggling with faith, a loved one searching for meaning, or a colleague interested in the relationship between science and religion. Click the share button and become part of a larger conversation about the mysteries of the universe and the one who created it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to not miss our upcoming videos on similar topics. In our next video, we'll explore another biblical phenomenon that modern science is still trying to explain: the parting of the Red Sea. It will be a fascinating journey you won't want to miss. God bless to you. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the sun standing still phenomenon. Remember that sometimes the greatest mysteries of the universe are not things to be solved, but to be contemplated with awe and gratitude.